Hi guys, it's Live for 5. I'm Nikki Fogden-Moore, the Mojo Maker, and I want to give you 5 core tips today on how to master this constant uncertainty that we're in. So I've just sent out Monday Mojo for today. So whenever you're listening to this on my Instagram channel, or whether you're on YouTube, or whether you come and join our Mojo Maker Facebook private group, welcome when you're watching this. It's a really important topic today because I know that everyone is sick and hearing stay positive, keep your mojo up, keep your leadership going. At the end of the day, we have had so long with constant uncertainty. So today's Live for 5, it'll probably be a bit longer knowing me, is going to give you some radical tips on how you can keep your mindset intact and how you can navigate uncertainty like a pro. And actually, if you can do this, you can master anything, because it is true self-leadership to trust and have faith, conviction, and courage, even when a lot of things around you are completely unbeknown and the carpet is moving all the time beneath your feet. And that's what's happening in our world today. So whenever you're listening to this, welcome to my usual viewers as well. It's great to have you back. I really appreciate you joining me on these little radical self-belief sessions. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. So let's get straight to today's video. Why is it that we are met with so much uncertainty? Basically, everything we used to do, whether if you're my age or even a little bit younger, there was always kind of a period where you could plan when you're running a business, whether you're going through certifications, whether you're doing your masters, your schooling, whatever else. There was always a trajectory, a roadmap, an understanding, a blueprint. You could budget, you could plan, you could consider, you could set goals, and you could create timelines around those things. Now, with the pandemic and what's happening on our world stage at the moment, everything is constantly in a state of uncertainty, whether it's property prices, interest rates, schooling, health systems, education, pandemics, wars. It has moved everything. So everything in our economic system is all upside down. It doesn't matter if you are looking at crypto, shares, or just general banking, mortgages, whatever. There is so much uncertainty. It's making it very difficult for what normally would be a possibility for a framework of planning. That also has a ripple effect all the way through into our communities, our cultures, our classrooms, and into our homes, that we're not able to feel as confident and as stable and as clear anymore that what we set out to have intent is just going to happen if we do all the right things. So what that means is everyone actually that I speak to that are incredible dynamic leaders, and the ones that I coach, it doesn't matter whether they're coming through the program on the course or they're my private coaching clients, the underlying factor is uncertainty can be exhausting. How do we stop uncertainty being exhausting? I think fundamentally, I need you to understand 3 basic core principles. Number 1, we have to shift our perspective that life is a set structure and put expectations that everything's going to be as per some predefined, pre-programmed framework. That is absolute BS. I say suit up, get your rally pants on. You're more Dakar Rally than you are Formula One. So rather than a track that you can study and learn with Formula One, even with PlayStation now, you can kind of learn to drive. In a rally environment, it is always changing. We have all conditions, all seasons, all landscapes, and anything can go wrong. That essentially is our landscape of life. What we used to expect to be a framework or a racetrack basically has just become a free-for-all Dakar Rally or New Zealand Rally or something where there's just sandstorms and snowstorms and corners we didn't expect at high speeds, and everyone is freaking out. So the number 1 thing is remember your perspective. If you were to consider that this life was about embracing the rally, embracing the uncertainty, embracing the peaks and troughs and the corners and all the agility that comes with that, rather than rigid thinking of how things used to be, you're already giving yourself a liberation of mindset and perspective that is going to be crucial and undeniably important for you to actually be able to feel confident and calm no matter what the conditions. So that's why I always call myself a little bit Marine Corps, a little bit Buddha. So when I talk about the Marine Corps aspects, that it is absolutely no use sitting there and pretending that you're okay if you're not. That is not going to get you out of the danger zone. It's not going to get you out of survival mode. And quite frankly, if you are listening to my Monday Mojos and you subscribe to them today, you might see a rather triggering one, which is about how to get out of your own way. And I am so passionate about it that I actually am sure I'm way too confronting for a lot of people, but that's the whole point, is that the stories we tell ourselves are really limiting beliefs that are holding our own self back. It's self-sabotage from being completely present in the moment and embracing what is normally termed as discomfort, which is actually the ability to have massive breakthroughs on a day-to-day basis and understand that if you have self-trust, if you have self-leadership, if you understand your self-sufficiencies, your skills, and you work on that, then you can handle anything. But if you're constantly looking for the outside validation that things are going to be okay, a certification, someone to hold your hand, whether it's external material things or it's peer pressure or it's anything to say, hey, you're doing a good job, but you don't really feel that yourself, then you are having a very, very shaky ground and you're probably sitting in the back seat of your life rather than the driver's seat. So your perspective about enjoying this rally and embracing it and understanding that this uncertainty could be here to stay will be your first liberating factor. The second liberating factor for mastering uncertainty is to embrace uncertainty, and that is your new framework. So rather than forcing it to put a rigid framework of thinking, a rigid mindset, how I used to do things, this is our new normal, all those statements, you have to throw all of that out and be totally organic and consider that whatever you have right now, A, is already enough. That the environment that you're in, that you can survive in anything, and that actually the adage is not to have rigidity, but to have agility, and to understand that you are so capable and probably smarter and wiser and stronger than you think, but you don't need to force your way through to actually recognize that. Sometimes it actually takes a little bit of reverse engineering, slowing everything down and going, wow, instead of forcing, pushing, and rushing, I'm actually going to press pause and do a little pit stop and go, what do I need to do next? So that's the second point, is having the radical awareness that when you understand that life is really there to suit up and that you can do anything, then you've got to do the regular pit stops to check your resources, check your inner fuel supplies, check what's in flow and what's not, instead of just pushing through all of that and then wondering why you end up driving yourself into a brick wall at the end of it all. The third thing is the grappling and the fighting with the fact that it's uncertain times. You have to let go of comparing how we are now to how we were before, or even a consideration for how things could be in the future, because then you're missing the strongest point in any type of spiritual, intellectual, emotional, physical leadership, which has been absolutely present. That absolutely present is what's called your flow state, or your state of flow. Everyone that I know in the world of mindset that's good at what they do, we talk about it, everyone coaches on it. It is fundamentally the golden egg of finding your truth self, is getting into flow state. Do not make it too complicated. It actually is starting with just listening to your breath, if that need be, and then coming back into the present moment. So you've got your 3 points for mastering uncertainty. I'm just going to recap those so you can really think about it, write it down if you need to, put it on a post-it note if you need to, but you have to have radical reminders. You can't just go, yeah, that was really motivating. Yeah, you actually have to then apply this knowledge. So number one, your perspective about life has to shift from rigid frameworks about how things should be to the agility to a rally of life concept. And if you haven't heard me talk about that, you obviously haven't read the book Radical Self-Belief. I mostly work with guys because I really feel I'm a bit of a tomboy. I like action and results, so I'm very hard-lined around that, but the whole philosophy of it is like a rally. So all conditions, all seasons, we have to have resources, a good pit crew, and you have to be aware that you're in the driver's seat. So that's number one, is understanding that life is like a rally. Number two is you have to be radically aware of your approach on a daily basis. That uncertainty is something we just have to accept and embrace rather than fight and compare. So accepting uncertainty is a fait accompli, or it's just that's how our landscape is at the moment, a little bit of quicksand and moving plates, moving tectonic plates. All of a sudden that doesn't stress you out anymore, and you can work yourself within a landscape that's a bit like the ocean, ebbs and flows, tides, moon, sun rising, whatever. There's never a point where it's not going to be changing. So if you understand that, then you can allow yourself the breathing space to actually work within that parameter instead of comparing it to a rigid style of thinking of what it should be like. And the third thing is being acutely aware of your thoughts, how you talk to yourself, the expectations, the stories, the limiting beliefs, the past programming. I call that your 1960s hard drive for your 2022 landscape. It is, if you update your iPhone, you update your computer, you update all your technology to deal with today's world, you have to update your own thinking. It's the same thing as plugging something in to recharge its batteries. If you're not constantly rebooting your hard drive and getting all that clutter out of your system and actually being radically accountable for what you're thinking about, conversations you have with yourself, and actually are the stories you're telling yourself why you can't do something and how it's so terrible, is that really honest? Are you really, really, really at rock bottom where you can't do anything and there's no support? Because usually there is always a lifeline. We just have to be willing to take it. And that is where it takes a radical accountability and a radical self-awareness to go, I'm actually getting in my own way. I'm saying I'm too busy, I don't have enough money, coaching's never worked, I always do a course but it never works out, or my children need me, or my dog's sick, or I don't know, or I've failed every time before, why would I try again? We have an incessant number of stories we tell ourselves to stay in a false sense of security, which ultimately is keeping you way stuck in this old framework which is not serving you anymore. So radical honesty with self is more important than with anyone else, because how can you show up for yourself and for others if you're not completely transparent? And that means listening to discomfort and going, well, this doesn't feel right. What story am I telling myself? And if you're not getting results of flow, and if you're not embracing this ridiculous time, and if you are exhausted by uncertainty, I'd say then you're not doing the work to shift your mindset on an acute, tiny level to go, I have to be responsible. It's a full-time job to be in my body and choose my thoughts. So the moment you get tired or burnt out or pushed in all directions, you're going to be much more susceptible to external influences, validations, what people say, when things go wrong. It's going to pull you off track. So the self-care to stay centered is really, really important in today for mastering uncertainty. So I hope this little Alive for 5 or a little bit longer has helped you navigate and given you some pointers on, if you think about everything I've just said, really it comes through your perspective. Are we in uncertain times? According to who? I mean, we are just in these times, and I think we have to actually make the most of everything and be super grateful and realize that there is no scarcity and lack. That usually is a self-programmed limiting belief which keeps us stuck in fear and prevents us from living our truest potential. And if I can try new things, and if I can work on my mindset daily, and if I can work myself through massive change and loss and ideas and vision and pulls in all directions, so too can you, because we're exactly the same. We all have the same number of hours in the day. It's really what you want to put your focus and energy into. And I encourage you to take radical self-ownership and go, wow, you know what, maybe she's right. Maybe I'm telling myself all these stories because it's convenient to say, well, you don't get it, you don't have 3 kids, and but you don't know my story either, right? All of us have excuses or reasons or setbacks or moments in life that really challenge us. But that's where self-mastery comes in, where you ninja yourself out of those stories, where you eradicate that self-doubt and you go, I understand that that's there, ego, but I'm not picking up that bag off the carousel. I call it the swipe left, right? And you choose your next conscious thought on purpose. But you can only do that if you're radically aware of the stories that you're telling yourself to stay stuck. So if you're exhausted by uncertainty, I encourage you to go back to the beginning of this video, to take a pen and paper and to write down these points. If you want to see it again, you can come and check it out. I'll pop it on the YouTube channel, Vitality Coach TV. The link will be in my Instagram bio, or you can hop over to nikkifogden-moore.com. It'll be there on the blog eventually too. Most importantly, I really want to give you the tips and tools to be in the driver's seat. And it's no judgment. If you want to stay where you are, that's your point, your lesson, your journey. But if there's any tool I can give you is limitless potential and happiness, vitality, energy, all those things, they're all our own responsibility. And you just have to decide what you want more. And then as soon as you do that, as soon as you put your head in that direction, the rest will follow. And if you've got any questions, If you want to ask me anything, just drop me a comment on Instagram or send me a message or sign up to Monday Mojo, because then you can always just hit reply, and I always personally reply and respond to emails. It might not be the same day, but I always get back to it. And I think what is incredibly important is that we subscribe ourselves to a new way of thinking, and that's completely what I'm committed to. So if I can do it, you can do it too. Come and follow me. I've got Coop Blackson on the show this week, Radical Self-Belief, the podcast, and on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't already, come and subscribe on Spotify and iTunes on Radical Self-Belief, the Mojo Maker podcast. I think it's episode 168. Season 4 with my guest Coop Blackson. And of course there are thousands of posts and videos, hundreds of videos about all this topic. Just hop onto my YouTube channel, and if you don't know where to look, ask me questions and I'm happy to direct you even to the free worksheets. And if you want to sign up to Radical Self-Belief, the online course and book bundle, you can use the code RSB10, and that'll give you 10% off any of the books and packages. Anything I can do to help you get in the driver's seat. It's 25 years of coaching. I love any questions. If I can help you in any way I can, I will. Stay radical, keep your mojo going, observe your stories, and embrace this rally of life. I'm Nikki Fogden-Moore, the Mojo Maker. Thanks for tuning in. Have a fantastic day wherever you are. And until next time, you stay healthy, wealthy, and wise. See ya.